Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to an impromptu live stream. You didn't expect this, did you? It's uh it's an odd night to do one on a Thursday, but I decided to do one anyway. And hopefully I've got some good audio quality. You can hear me well. You can kind of see my shot here down on this machine. Does anyone recognize this machine straight away? And obviously the title kind of gives that away, doesn't it? But this is none other than what I refer to as the little brother of the Singer 201-2, the little brother of the Rolls Royce of Singer sewing machines. Hey, and this is just a fabulous, pretty much a 3/4 size version of that big machine that a lot of people love to get a hold of, that 201-2. Does anyone in the live stream right now, does anyone know when this machine first came on the scene? When did the Singer 1591 come on the scene? And as I've shared with you in other live streams, there were a ton of class 15 machines that Singer rolled off of the assembly lines long before this one. Does anyone know? I'm looking at the live chat and no one's even said anything yet. You guys are like, I don't know if I want to join the live chat or not. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to jump into that live stream, live chat stuff. It might be dangerous. It might be dangerous. Well, I'll give you some of the answers to make it easy for you. I'll give you some of the answers. So the Singer 15-91 came on the scene right around 1932. Now, the cool thing about this machine that I prepared specifically for John Hartzell out of the great state of Connecticut, the great thing about this machine is it was produced only 2 years after this class 15-91 came on the scene. Now, you don't find that very often. You'll find a lot of these 1591s, but this is a very early version of the 1591. And you can tell that in part because of the light assembly too. The light assembly is going to have a switch on the bottom instead of on the top to turn it on and off for sewing. You're also going to notice a little bit of a difference when it comes to, see if I can get this camera to bend over. You're also going to notice a little bit of a difference when it comes to the style of bobbin winding tensioner. It's a very different tensioner than you typically see. It's almost a bell style. And this was on the very early versions of some of the Singer machines to include this 1591. Now, I've told you when these rolled on the scene, right around 1932. Anyone that's in the live stream right now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that the 1591 was the first on the scene, or was it the 201-2? We talk a lot on this channel about the 201-2, the Rolls Royce of Singer sewing machines. It's going to have a potted motor like this 15-91. It's going to have some of the other attributes of this machine as well. But which one was the first on the scene? The chicken or the egg? Or in this case, the 1591 or the 201-2? Does anyone know the answer to that one? I'm hitting you guys with a lot of questions because I know you're really smart, whether you're watching the live stream live now or whether you're joining it later in watching it as a video and kind of watching the video chat replay, etc. So I'm curious what you think. Well, I'll help you with this one as well, since I don't see a lot of folks jumping into the live chat yet. The answer is the 1591 was on the scene about 3 years before the 201-2. The class 15-91 came on the scene in 1932. The 201-2 came on the scene right around 1935. So if you didn't know that, guess what? You know it now. You know it now. So, but this was a great alternative to the 201-2 once it came on the scene in 1935, because this had been on the scene as a 3/4 size machine for 3 years before that Rolls-Royce of Singers ever appeared out of those manufacturing plants. And people were excited about what they saw with this 1591, being that potted motor style machine that did not require a belt, that had that positive traction, but they were also hungry to get a little bit more workspace. And that's what the 201-2 offered starting in 1935. So a lot of people had the best of both worlds. They hung on to their 1591, but they also added the 201-2 to their collection so that they could have a 3/4 size, or they could step down, or should say step up. They could step up to that 201-2, and then they could all of a sudden enjoy even a larger harp space and even a larger workspace as well. So that's the beauty, I think, of a lot of the developments that the Singer Sewing Machine Company had, is they would always look at that consumer and they would say, what are you looking for? What do you want? Let's see if we can do it. And that's kind of what they did, going from the 1591 to the 201-2. However, a lot of people today still prefer the 1591 because it's a little bit more compact, but it's going to have the same amount of power as that 201-2. I'll say it again. The 1591 is going to have the same amount of power as the 201-2. Does anyone know what size motor does a machine like this come with? Right back there is our potted motor. And the potted motor is going to be, again, a direct drive system. It's going to have worm style gears that come off of the motor, and then they're going to interlace with a balance wheel and give us positive traction straight away. There's not going to be any slippage. There's not going to be any delay. It's going to be immediate. Boom. You got power from the motor across that main shaft and then going down to that needle. So that's a wonderful, wonderful feature of these potted systems. So if no one has guessed yet, as far as what size motor does a machine like this have, it's going to have one or two options. The earliest versions, like this one, are generally going to come with a 0.6 amp motor, which means it's going to be the equivalent of almost two featherweights as far as power. A featherweight comes with a 0.4 amp motor. This is going to be 0.6, peaking at about 0.7. So it's almost 2 times more powerful than a Singer featherweight machine. And the same is true of the 201-2, the Rolls-Royce of Singer sewing machines. They're also going to come generally with a 0.5 or 0.6 amp motor. But again, remember, it's direct drive, so you don't lose any of that power from the motor down to the needle. It's just going to be a burst of energy, as you'll see during this live stream today. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a leather fest, where we're going to be going through a number of different leathers, everything from veg tan leather to Italian leather to genuine elk hide to saddle grade leather, and even some fake leather as well, some Naga hide. And I think we have a little bit of protected full grain leather in there as well. I'll have to look. Yeah, I think we do. So without any further ado, I'm going to set the camera back over here and lock it on the table and see if we can get a little bit of sewing going on with this machine. Oh, and the first one to jump into the live chat is Susie from Minnesota. We've got a lot of shy people today. A lot of shy people. Susie, can you give me feedback? How's the audio quality right now? Are you able to hear me nice and clear and crisp? Nice, clear, crisp sound, hopefully. And I'm not saying anything right now, at least I wasn't. So if you didn't hear me, that's okay. Well, welcome to everybody to the live stream. Again, if you joined a little bit late, we're going to be checking out this 15-91 on this live stream. And this 15-91 is one that I pulled out of my personal collection, and I prepared it specifically for John Hartzell from the great state of Connecticut. And John Hartzell wanted to get a machine from the workshop before the workshop is no more. And I'm not dropping a bomb on anybody and saying, oh, I'm going to close the workshop tomorrow. But off in the future sometime, I'm looking at retirement probably. So I'm going to be stepping away from the workshop eventually. Hey, butterfly on the wall. Butterfly on my wall. There's a butterfly on my wall. So Susie or butterfly on my wall, the two that have joined the live chat, can you give me feedback on how the audio quality is, please? Are you able to hear me okay? Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Excellent. All right, so let me try to adjust the camera a little bit more, and we'll get into some of these sew-offs, but I'll give you guys some input, give you a chance to give some input as far as what you want to see this machine do. So I've got some of this leather. Let me see. I've got some Italian leather here, some vegetable tan leather, some genuine elk hide, some saddle grade leather. Got a couple chunks of that. And I've got some Naga hide. This is the fake leather, the fakey leather stuff. And I've got some protected full grain leather, this blue stuff here. And I grabbed a couple of other sew-offs on top of that. I've got some of my bubblegum material. I've got some of my compressed felt. And I've got some cotton that we can sew as well with a stiffener in between. And a little bit more cotton with a stiffener. Two different colors. I got blue and yellow. Decided to be a little bit wild today. So we can start with yellow or blue. And then last but not least, I've got some heavy grade denim as well. So we're going to be doing a pretty wide field of materials during this live stream. Everything from cotton to denim to leather to compressed felt to bubblegum material. So if anyone wants to pick our first sew off, they can certainly do that. We can start with something like cotton. We can start with denim. We can start with bubblegum material, or we can jump right into the leathers, because I'm hoping to sew a lot of leathers on this 1591 during this live stream today. So I'm going to set these over here for right now, some of these extra sew offs, and then I'll see what the chat is saying as far as different leathers that we potentially can sew. I don't know that I've sewed this type of veg tan leather before, this white stuff. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to see the stitching, but we're going to try to see if we can give it a go. All right, let me take a look at the chat and see what folks are saying as far as what they want to see us sew off on. Yeah. And Butterfly on my wall is saying, let's do leather. Let's do leather. Oh, and welcome to, let me do some hellos to folks right now. I see that we have Creative Granny from Hawaii. Aloha. And we've got, obviously, Susie from Minnesota. And we've got Mesa GSP. And Mesa GSP is AKA Bill. That's Bill with the puppy. So if we could see Bill right now, he might look a little stressed with that puppy. But puppies are wonderful. And you just have to go through that puppy phase. And I've seen pictures of Bill's puppy And she looks like an absolute sweetheart, an absolute sweetheart. Who else do we have? I think I said hello to everybody almost. Yeah, I did. Well, I'm glad all of you have joined today. And let's get sewing on this machine. We're going to jump into some leather first. That seemed to be kind of like the big vote. The big vote was do the leather, do the leather, do the leather, do the leather. So let's do some leather with this 1591. Does anyone want to look up? Does anyone want to look up the birth date of this machine? Anyone want to look up the birth date? I'm trying to get this sucker to stand up here. Stand up, you silly thing. If anyone wants to look up the birth date of this machine, the serial number, I'll type it into the live chat and then someone can look up the birth date if they'd like. And I've already told you it's a 1934. So this machine, again, would have been rolling off the assembly line only 2 years after Singer started making these 1591s starting in 1932. So this is a very, very early 15-91. Very early. Let's see here. See if I can type the serial number into the live chat and then someone can look it up if you would be willing to do that. That would be cool. It is 689. Okay, so I just typed the serial number. I just typed the serial number into the live chat. If someone wants to look it up, they can give us the details on the specific birth date of John's machine, John Hartzell's machine. And if someone else is game for it, if someone else wants to do a little bit of research and be my star student and fellow teacher, you can also look up the name of the city that John is from in Connecticut. I'll type that into the live chat as well. Higganum. I got it right. Yep. So I just typed into the live chat as well the name of the city that John is from. If anyone wants to type anything and share anything in the live chat that's interesting about this city in Connecticut, that would be totally cool. We always like to learn new things, right? That's all part of our culture in our classroom is learning from each other. So you can, one of you or the same one or whoever can share with us the details of the birth date of this 1591. And then someone else can share with us a little bit about the city that John Hartzell is from. John Hartzell is from this city in Connecticut. I don't know that I've ever been to Connecticut. If anyone else has ever been to Connecticut, maybe you can share your insights on that particular state as well. But I hear it's a lovely, lovely state. And Butterfly on my wall is jumping all over it. Butterfly on my wall has typed in, this machine was born August 17th, 1934. 1934. So you see what I'm saying? It's a very, very early version, a very, very early version of the Class 15-91. I mean, this machine didn't even come on the scene until 1932. And then there's 2 years later, boom, John Hartzell's machine is born at the factory out in Elizabethport, New Jersey. New Jersey, out in New Jersey is where this machine was born. And Susie is giving us a little bit more. Oh, actually, correction. Butterfly on my wall also said it as well. I didn't notice that. 30,000 machines were made in this production group. Now, the average production group size for Singer was usually right around 50,000. Right around 50,000. They also had groups sometimes as large as 100,000 machines. So 30,000 machines is a little bit on the smaller end of production group size back in 1934 when this machine came on the scene, which means, and I've said this a million times on this channel, the smaller the production group size, the more valuable that machine is, the more rare that machine is, the more precious that machine is from a standpoint of overall numbers in that production group size. So this machine is going to have a little bit more rarity, a little bit more, it's a little bit more scarce than the average 1591. Now, all vintage sewing machines are precious, duh, but this one has a little bit more rarity to it because that production group size is solidly more small than the average one that Singer would roll out. And I have no idea why they would go up and down on their numbers, but they did. And this one only had 30,000 in its production group size. So sending John a machine that he can brag about even more than the average 1591. All right. I might have to pop a mint in my mouth. My throat is a little bit sore today. All right. Well, let's jump into some leather straight away. Let's jump in some leather because that was kind of the vote. And we'll see how this machine does. We'll start, excuse me. I think we'll start with, actually, let's start with this. Let's start with some genuine elk hide. I'll set that right there. But before I officially start, let me also walk you around this machine a little bit. Let me walk you around this machine. And while I walk you around the machine, I'm also going to ask you another question. I've been hitting you with a lot of questions. Does the 1591, actually, I'm going to ask you two questions. I'm going to ask you two questions. Does the 1591 have, I'm just going to hold on to the camera, it's easier. Does the 1591 have a rotary hook system or an oscillating hook system? And then if you want to be like the brightest student ever, you can explain just briefly to the class, what's the difference? What is the difference between a rotary hook system and an oscillating hook system? But tell me, what does this have? And if you want to get extra brownie points, does this machine have the same hook system as its big brother, the 201-2? Does this machine have the same hook system as the 201-2, or is it different? Yeah. I think that's a good question. I think that's important for us to know. Yeah. So looking over on this side, you can see our stitch length control right here. Right now, I've got it set on the largest stitch, which is going to be right around 6 stitches per inch. Right around 6 stitches per inch. And as we move this gradually up, we can get down to 30 stitches per inch. And if we go all the way to the top, we can sew in reverse with this class 15-91. All the way to the top gets us into reverse. And there's different stitch lengths as well that we can potentially generate in reverse also. But great stitch length range, everything from 6 stitches all the way down to 30 stitches per inch. And then this little doodad right here, what this does is this allows us to lock in a stitch range. As we loosen this little thumb screw, we can move this up or down, and it will allow us to set a little bit of a boundary as far as how low we can go. Kind of like doing the limbo thing or whatever that is called. We can set a stitch barrier as far as how low that stitch length can go. When we're winding a bobbin, we're going to be winding it from here. There's our spool pin. We go through this really cool tensioner. Again, this tensioner is going to be different than the later versions of the 1591. This is kind of a bell style tensioner. And then we take that thread straight up here. We push down to engage it so that that wheel is in touch with that balance wheel rim. And then we also disengage our clutch on the end as well when we're winding a bobbin. Yeah. Not a lot else to show you. I could show you the threading real quick if you'd like to know the threading on this machine. Come off the top here on the spool pin. We have to kind of go to the, it's kind of different because normally we're used to, when we thread a machine, we're used to coming to the front of the machine and kind of working our way down to the needle. On the 1591, you have to start on the back of the machine. There's a thread guide right here. You can see that, hopefully. And then we drop down to the tension discs. And just like right now, whenever you're threading a machine, you always want to make sure that that presser foot lever is in the up position so there's no pressure on the discs. And you can draw that thread deep into those discs. And then we come around, we have to thread through this take-up spring, this check spring right here. And then we have to draw that check spring up so the thread goes over this little ledge right there. I'll move my finger so you can see that. And then once we come over that little ledge, we're then going to head up to the take-up arm and thread that from left to right. And then we have another thread guide over here on the front of the faceplate. And we've got another thread guide down here just above the needle area. And then finally, we're going to be threading this. A lot of the Singer machines will get threaded from left to right. This particular 1591 and all 1591s are threaded from right to left. So if you're naturally dyslexic, you've got a fighting chance with a 1591, because if you're used to always threading things left to right and you do it in reverse, you'll be absolutely spot on with this machine. The flat side of the needle on this machine is going to face to the left. So flat side of the needle to the left, not towards the pillar like a lot of the machines that Singer made. And then again, we're going to be threading this from right to left when we set it up for sewing. So that's just a quick little summary setup on the 1591. Now, the other thing I'm going to ask you is, with a lot of the Singer machines, it's evident whether or not that machine has the ability for the feed dogs to drop. Most of us know that the coveted featherweight, the 221 and the 221-1, do not have feed dog drops on them. And that really galls a lot of the featherweight owners for me to say that, but it's true. If you have a featherweight, you've got to use a darning plate in order to do free motion quilting or freehand embroidery. Is that true of the 1591? Because I don't see anything in this shot. I don't see anything in this shot to indicate that you can drop the feed dogs on this class 15-91. And that was true of a lot of the class 15 machines that rolled out in the 1800s all the way through. Some of them you could, some of them you couldn't. What about this machine? Does anyone know? Can we drop the feed dogs on this machine, or do we have to use a darning plate? Try to get this down close to the action here. Oh, some folks are sharing some really cool facts about the city that John Hartzell is from. Higganum is how I would say it. I'm probably saying it wrong. But Higganum has only about 2,000 folks that live there. It's actually smaller than Oconto, Wisconsin. Only about 2,000 souls live there. It's in the southwest banks of Connecticut, immediately south of Middleton. And Susie looked it up on Ismax. We're kind of jumping around with stuff. We're sharing information about the city that John Hartzell is from. But Susie is also saying, according to Ismax, and Ismax is generally a very reliable site They're saying it's an oscillating hook system. What the heck is an oscillating hook system? Does anyone know? And Susie is also saying that the 201-2, the big brother to the 1591, has a different hook system. She's saying it's a full rotary hook system. And it uses a class 66 bobbin. The 201-2 uses a class 66 bobbin. Does this machine, does the 1591 use a class 66 bobbin also? Does anyone know? Yeah, Susie is right again. She's saying it's oscillating, an oscillating hook system instead of going around and 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 around like the 201-2 does. A full rotary hook system means it goes in a full circle continuously when you're sewing. This one is going to be like a pendulum on the 1591. It's going to be like a pendulum rocking from side to side. Yeah, like that. I almost feel like I'm conducting a song. I feel like I'm conducting a song right now when I'm demonstrating the oscillating hook system. But that's exactly right. Susie is spot on. And I appreciate her looking that up and sharing that with all of us. Now, the other question I asked, and I'll look at the chat to see if someone answered it, or maybe Susie can tell me if someone answered it. Is this 1591 like the featherweight in that if you want to do free motion quilting, freehand embroidery, do you need a darning plate for this class 15-91 from 1934? Because I see on the bed right here, I see 2 screw points, which might imply that you need to attach a darning plate right here in order to do free motion quilting, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you do. I'll look at the chat and see what folks are saying. Yeah, let's see what folks are saying. Now, Susie looked on Ismex again at the owner's manual, and she says it doesn't say anything. Well, that's not a very helpful owner's manual, is it? Yeah, I agree. Butterfly on the Wall is saying that's interesting threading. Absolutely. Absolutely interesting. Well, we can cheat a little bit. We can cheat and we can rotate the machine back very carefully because this is a base, it's mounted in a base, but this is a top heavy machine. So if I rotate it back, I've got to be really careful I don't tip the machine over. That would be a little bit embarrassing in a live stream. But let's see if we can peek on the bottom and see if that gives us any indication as to whether or not we can drop the feed dogs or not. So we're looking at the bottom of the machine right now. And there's our oscillating hook system right over here. What is this? I'm pointing at it right here in the shot. What is that? Lower the camera a little bit more. What is that right there? Well, what that is, and if you had a 15-91, and if what Susie said is correct, that the manual doesn't specifically say, yeah, do this to drop the feed dogs. Do this, and you can drop the feed dogs. This is how you drop the feed dogs on this 15-91. You simply unscrew this, and it doesn't fall out, thank goodness. You unscrew this, rotating it towards you, and then this piece right here on the left will pivot down, and those feed dogs will drop. And then when you're done doing free motion quilting, you can push this back up, all the way up, and hold it up maybe with your thumb, and then screw this all the way back in. Check my shot here to see if we're aiming the right way. Hopefully we are. Yeah, I think we're aiming the right way. Looking at my finger now. Maybe not. Okay, now you can see it. The camera's kind of like dropping. So this is our feed dog drop on the 1591 right here. You unscrew this again. This part is going to drop down, allowing the feed dogs to drop down. And then when you're done, just push this side back up, hold it up, and screw this back into place again. And then you'll be back fully engaged with the feed dogs again. So, but yeah, the answer is on this 1591, you can drop the feed dogs. But there were a number of other class 15s that is not true. And if anyone's curious, I can read off the ones really quick. I can read off the ones that the feed dogs do not drop that are part of the class 15 family as well. Once I get the camera to stop drooping. Don't droop anymore. All right, there. I think I got it stable. So let me read off some of the models real quick from the class 15 family where you cannot drop the feed dogs. So the very first model in this class, the 15-1, that was introduced right around 1879. And if anyone wants to type this into the live chat, the information I'm sharing, that'll be a great resource to someone that watches this as a video later. So the very first class 15 machine to roll out of the Singer plants was the 15-1, right around 1879. And it was produced until about 1895. So from 1879 to 1895, you could not drop the feed dogs on that machine. Right after that, we had the 15-11. And that one also would not allow the feed dogs to be dropped. Then we had the 15-22. You could not drop the feed dogs on that one either. Then we had the 15-30. That one also you could not drop the feed dogs on. Finally, thank goodness, the 15-75. The 15-75 was the very first class 15 machine where you could drop the feed dogs. Up until that, if you wanted to drop the feed dogs, good luck, buddy. It's not going to work. So you had to use a darning plate. You had no choice. But when the 15-75 came on the scene, you were able to finally drop the feed dogs on that machine. And then for some reason, when they rolled out the 15-80, the model right after the 15-75, again, you couldn't drop the feed dogs. Singer went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes you could, sometimes you couldn't. And then came on the scene the 15-86. Again, can't drop the feed dogs. You're back to a darning plate. Then the 15-87. Can't drop the feed dogs. 15-88. You could drop the feed dogs again. Again, you could drop the feed dogs with a 15-88. Then the 15-89. Nope. 15-90. Yep. You could drop the feed dogs with 15-90. Then came on the scene what we're featuring today in this live stream, the 1591. You could drop the feed dogs again. Then came after this, the 1596. Can't drop the feed dogs. Get out your darning plate. Then came the 15-97. Keep your darning plate out. No feed dog drop. Then came the 15-110, 111, and 112. And on those machines, you could drop the feed dogs. This is all part of the same class, all part of the class 15, all these machines that I'm mentioning. Then came on the scene the 15-125. Singer is deciding not to mess around with us. They're going to let us drop the feed dogs again without a darning plate. Then came the 15-115, and they said, no, denied. Denied! So the 15-115, you were back to a darning plate again. So that is a quick thumbnail of all of the Class 15 machines. And if people were not able to capture all of that and type it into the live chat, that's okay. But hopefully you at least made note of the fellow Class 15 machines, like the one we're looking at today, where Singer did give you a feed dog drop option without having to pull out your darning plate. All right, all of that blah, blah, blah. Let's actually put this machine to work. So we've got some genuine elk hide, and I didn't test this already. I did not test this yet. Did not test it. Let's get that into place. Get it all the way underneath, actually. There we go. Oh, and I didn't specifically show you, but you guys are so smart. Right here, you can kind of see it in the shot. This is our presser foot pressure right here. And again, the general rule about presser foot pressure is heavier materials, projects where you're working with multiple layers, you want to look at increasing this. And you increase it by turning it clockwise, like this. I love doing this with my finger. It makes me feel powerful. You do this, you do this by turning this clockwise to increase the presser foot pressure. So if we're sewing leather like this genuine elk hide underneath the presser foot right now, I might give us a little bit more of a turn just to give us a little bit more of an edge to give us better feed, because it's going to be pushing down against that material and pushing it into those feed dogs, giving us a little bit better traction, giving us a little bit better feed, so we get a more robust stitch. If you ever are stitching something and those stitches go, even though you've got the setting very, very high for a larger stitch, and those stitches just look really stubby, that's going to be a feed factor. That's going to be you're sewing something that requires more presser foot pressure, and your presser foot pressure is too light. If you ever get the stubbier stitches, even though your stitch length is set on a much larger stitch. So if you didn't know that, go ahead and throw a smiley face into the live chat, or signify in some other way that you learned something new, because that's really the beauty of this classroom, is we want to be learning things, not just from me, but also learning from all of you as well. So hopefully that's a helpful tip as far as sewing either heavier materials or thicker materials too, with multiple layers. All right, let's see how this 1591 does with this genuine elk hide. And genuine elk hide, again, if you didn't know it, is chemically processed. Another leather as well that we're going to be sewing today is chemically processed. It's this protected full grain leather. Both of these leathers are going to be chemically treated to give them more durability. And also in some instances, like this protected full grain leather, the chemical treatment of this leather is also going to make it more resistant to staining. So, you know, if you spill coffee and your fancy car has protected full grain leather on those seats, it's not as likely to have a permanent stain if you've got this kind of leather. Whereas other leathers will absorb that coffee, and that stain might become quite a nightmare to try to get out. So that's part of the reason they develop leathers that are chemically treated, is they're more durable and they're also more resistant to staining. The bad news is, for machines other than John's that's been prepared in the workshop, is when you chemically treat a leather, it also makes it more difficult to get through it with the needle. It makes that piercing threshold higher. So that's bad news for other machines, but it really doesn't matter for this 1591, because this 1591 is a beast when it comes to strength. All right, I'm going to get another drink of water real quick. All right, let's see how this 1591, and with most oscillating hook systems, I'll just give you a quick little tip. With most oscillating hook systems, it's not a bad idea when you first launch, if you're able to hold onto those threads, because with the oscillating hook system, because it's not doing that full rotary motion like its big brother, the 201-2, the oscillating hook system is going to be a little bit more aggressive about grabbing that thread. So with it grabbing the thread a little bit more aggressively, if you hold onto that thread for just a second as you're launching, it's going to reduce the likelihood you get a little bit of a bird nesting thing going on the bottom. So you'll see me doing that. I'll grab these threads in the back, and when we first launch, I'll hold onto them, and then I'll let go and let the machine do its dance. Okay? Just kind of looking over my shoulder. It looks like we got a fairly good shot. So let's give this a go. See how we do with this genuine elk hide. Here we go. Taking it slow. Yes. I started out a little bit aggressive, and then I kind of decided I'm going to slow it down. And that's the thing, is it's okay to meter out that power. Yeah, that's some good looking stitching. Very good looking stitching. Clip these other threads as well. We'll take a look at this stitching on this genuine elk hide. See if I can hold it in front of the camera. I've changed the settings on this camera, so hopefully they come in a little bit clearer as we're looking at the stitches. So this is our top stitch right here on this genuine elk hide. Oh, let me pivot a little bit more. There we go. I think I got it angled right now. I think I have it angled right, maybe. Getting a little bit of reflection off of that. Let me see if I can do this. Let me get my stitch off holder, and we'll actually see if we can zoom in on it with this camera. Not zoom in per se, but get a different shot. Let me see what I can do with this. So this is our top stitch. Let me see if I can get close enough for you to see that. And I'm going to shut that light off too just for a moment. I think that light is messing with us a little bit. Yeah, that helps. And notice how full and robust these stitches are. Because we bumped up that presser foot pressure, we're not getting a stubby stitch. We're getting a beautifully full 6 stitches per inch. I'll kind of go across so you can see those stitches. Very, very nice looking stitching. Very nice looking stitching. Just adjust that camera a little bit. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. And if you look from the side, look at what we just sewed through. You can see from the side that just a single layer of this genuine elk hide is going to be almost the equivalent of a heavy belt. It's going to be, I mean, this is the thick of thick right here. And there's different, depending on where this is taken from the hide, it can even be thicker than this. But that's some super thick leather, and the machine just went through it like a hiccup very, very easily. So let's turn it over and look at that lock stitch. And again, the lock stitch is always going to be more difficult for the machine to create because that needle has to sweep down through the material, go through that thick leather, and then pull that thread back up. So it's always going to be a little bit more of a challenge for the machine in most cases to define that lock stitch nicely. But I'm looking at a beautiful page 34 lock stitch as well. Kind of go across that so you can see. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. There's our totality of stitching right there. Kind of looking from that distance. That again is going to be our lock stitch. We turn it again over. That's our top stitch right there. Beautiful, beautiful top stitching on this single layer of genuine elk hide. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Well, why don't we try doubling this now? We've gone through the equivalent of almost a belt, a thick belt. Now I'm going to push this machine a little bit harder. We're going to add another layer of genuine elk hide to this and see if this machine can continue to perform at this level in going through a second layer of this. Now, inevitably, because we're using a standard presser foot attachment, we're not using a roller foot, we're not using a walking foot. When you add that second layer of elk hide, we might see that stitch just compressed a little bit because it's trying to feed two layers of genuine elk hide at the same time. And we could reduce that compression factor a little bit by adding a roller foot or a walking foot. But since we're not going to do that in this live stream, what we can do instead is we can go to our presser foot control up here, our pressure control, and give it another twist clockwise to increase our odds of getting some decent feed, because we're going to be doing two layers now of this genuine elk hide. So I'm going to give it a turn, a good full turn, like that. And that means this is going to be pushing down even harder now against these two layers we're going to attempt to do now. Let me attach my camera to the table again. See if I can get it to stay in one place, hopefully. All right, let's check that camera angle. That's pretty good. All right, so we're adding a second layer now. That's the thickness of the second layer we're going to be adding. Nothing easy peasy about that. I'm going to go ahead and put them back to back. And this is what we're going to be attempting to sew right here. You can see that in the shot. We are going to be going through the equivalent of a heavy-duty leather belt now. It's like we're sewing through a heavy-duty leather belt like a farmer might wear, or a rancher, or someone that's doing a lot of heavy labor, and they need that belt to really, really stand up to a lot of physical activity. This is what we're going to be attempting to do now. And yes, the 15-91 is technically a household sewing machine, but we're going to be treating it like a light industrial machine by doing something like this. You won't see this on other channels on YouTube because people are downright terrified to try to push their 1591 to this level, knowing that it's probably not going to succeed, knowing that it's probably going to fail. But I've got enough confidence in the work that I poured into John Hartzell's 1934 Singer 15-91. I think we can do this, and we could probably even do more. But I think this is definitely going to prove the point that when a machine is properly prepared, it can sew at this level, and not just a one-off, but it can sew at this level all day long. John could be sewing leather like this, and as long as he does basic maintenance on this machine, keeps it properly lubricated, and does other maintenance that is required, this machine will be able to sew like this continuously and just get the job done. So keep your fingers crossed. This is not an easy sew off. So I'm going to see if I can get this underneath the presser foot. There's generally really good clearance on these 1591s. So hopefully we'll be okay. And there's even, if you look down at the presser foot right here where the needle is, there's even a little bit of hyperextension. And the way you access that is with the presser foot lever in the up position, you push it just a little bit further outside of the normal range of where it would be, and it gives you an additional 1 to 3 millimeters of clearance. That's a lot of jump as far as clearance. That gives you the ability to put thicker materials underneath that presser foot and to be able to sew them. But we don't even need it. We don't even need that hyperextension because the clearance is really quite exceptional on this machine. So I'm going to get that into position, make sure it's all the way underneath that presser foot. We drop that presser foot down. And I'm feeling right now, by just lifting that presser foot lever up just slightly, we've got some really, really good pressure on that leather right now. But I'm gonna give it even one more turn to push down even harder on these 2 layers of genuine elk hide. This is a real heavy sew off, and we need to give this machine every opportunity to succeed with this level of sewing. So I just gave it another full turn off camera. Another full turn. I'm gonna get a quick drink of water, and then we're gonna attempt these 2 layers of genuine elk hide. And I haven't even looked at the live chat. Oh, welcome to Candido as well. Welcome to Candido. And welcome to Robin. I don't think I greeted Robin yet either. And I think everybody else that I'm seeing in the live chat, at least, everyone else I've already said hello to. I don't want anyone to feel like we're ignoring you, but I know that Susie and other moderators that are present, and certainly all folks that are present, are always going to make people feel welcome. So I'm going to turn our light back on. Let's see if it goofs around with the camera. Yeah, not too bad. I don't think we really need it. We'll leave the light off. We'll leave the light off for right now. So I'm going to attempt 2 layers of this genuine elk hide. Keep your fingers crossed. This is not an easy sew off by any stretch of the imagination. And I always provide this tip to everyone. Make sure when you launch that your take-up arm, that's this right here, that your take-up arm is at the highest position and that it's just getting ready to go on that down sweep. If I just barely touch the balance wheel, see how it's starting to go down? That's where you want to launch, especially when you're trying to do heavy grade sewing like this. Crazy heavy grade sewing. All right, let's give this a go. And I'm going to try to launch into this without using any boost to the balance wheel. I'm not going to give it any hand start. We're just going to jump into this and see if we can attack it. And hopefully we can get this job done. All right, are you ready? Try to get my foot. And this machine, I didn't show you. This machine has the same foot controller that comes with a featherweight and a lot of the other Singer models. This is the Bakelite style foot controller. And it's got that little button, that tiny little button right there, that little bitty button that you have to get your foot on just in the right way. And people have made money coming up with adaptations where you've got a larger foot pedal that kind of goes over the top of this, and then underneath it pushes on that button. But I'm going to try to get my big old size 13 foot on this little button and give it a push. I'll do my best. All right, here we go. 2 layers of genuine elk hide. Keep your fingers crossed. And I'm going to do one other thing real quick. I'm going to grab one of my little clips. See if we can clip this together, at least initially, so that hopefully I can sew a little bit straighter. Maybe. No guarantees. We'll leave those on just initially so we can hopefully get a little bit better launch. A straighter launch. All right, here we go. Trying to get my big old foot on that little button. Almost got it. Yep, I think I got it. All right, here we go. 2 layers of genuine elk hide. When I get to right about here, I'm going to pull these clips off so I don't hit them with the needle bar clamp, hopefully. Yes. All right, here we go. Pull that off. Pull that off. No hand start. No hand start at all. But I forgot to hold on to my threads. Hopefully we didn't get a mess. I forgot to hold on to my threads. Here we go. There we go. I kind of went up and down in speed a little bit there. And increasing that presser foot pressure was exactly what we should have done. Because as you're looking at these stitch lines side by side, they look nearly identical. Nearly identical. And yet the one on the left is the one that we just did through these 2 layers of genuine elk hide. 2 layers of genuine elk hide. And we've got beautiful stitch size, formation, presentation, blah, 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 the glory of the stitch, etc., etc., etc. And we didn't even hand start this. We just, the pure grit of that 0.6 amp potted motor that I repaired and restored. Just knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. Let me pull this thread and we'll take a look at these stitches. Take a look at these stitches. Get our thread back into place so we're ready for the next sew off. And get my sew off holder. Yeah. I might bump up the upper tension a little bit, but all in all, we've got a really good stitch balance too. All right, I'm going to set that right there, and I've got to double check. So the bottom row, I've got this in the proper order. The bottom row is going to be the 2 layers. The top row of the stitching we look at first will be the single layer. So when we flip this over to look at the lock stitch, we're only going to see one stitch line, and that's that stitch line down here on the bottom where we went through the 2 layers of genuine elk hide. Okay, how's that shot right now? I'm trying to look at it. Looking at the screen way over there. Kind of, yeah, you can kind of see it, but I'll get closer. We'll get closer so we can see it a little bit more clearly. Okay, so again, the bottom row right here is our, I knocked it off. Ah! Did I knock it upside down? No, I kept it orientated right. Okay. Don't touch it, Scott. Don't touch it. Okay. So the top row is the first stitch row we did through a single layer. The bottom row is our second stitch row going through 2 layers of elk hide. Wow. Wow. Absolutely amazing. Amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing. Double amazing to the power of 5. And look at from the top again of what we just went through, those 2 layers. You see that? Folks, that is off the hook, as our younger generation might say. That's off the hook that we were able to just go through these 2 layers of genuine elk hide, the equivalent of probably 10 to 12 ounces of leather without a hand start, and it laid down stitching like this. Page 34 plus stitching. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Top stitch, off the charts, amazing, unbelievable. And yet it's believable because you just saw the machine do it on the live stream. No editing, no Photoshop this or anything like that with pictures. You saw the live video stream of this machine just going, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's only 12 ounces of leather, Scott. It's only genuine elk hide, Scott. Why are you getting all emotional about it? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And it did. It just went through it like, wow, wow. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable how easy this 1591 just made that look. Unbelievable. Let's see how it did on that lock stitch. The other lock stitch was spot on through a single layer. Was it able to maintain stitch integrity going through 2 thick layers of this elk hide? I'm going to show you from the side what we just went through. Was it able to maintain that lock stitch integrity through this much leather? I don't know. I don't know if it did or not. It did great on the top stitch. Fabulous. Fabulous. Fabulous job on the top stitch. How did it do on the lock stitch? Let's take a look. I'll turn it like this so we can see it more easily. This is our lock stitch through 2 layers of genuine elk hide. 2 layers. And I'll tell you one thing. Page 34. Page 34. Hello. Amazing. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful lock stitching through 2 layers. I just puffed it with air. Sorry about that. Let me turn my head to the side and cough. No, let me turn my head to the side when I'm speaking so that I don't blow this off of the stitch holder here. But that's an absolutely beautiful lock stitch going through this much leather. Absolutely beautiful. I might just bump up that upper tension just slightly to pull this even a little bit more taut. The stitch alignment, the stitch presentation is really, really good, but it can be better. It could be better. It could be better by increasing that upper tension a little bit, just a little bit, and pull this even tighter. Occasionally, when you're going through this much leather, you'll get a little bit of a tilt to some of the stitches, and that is because that upper tension is doing everything it can to pull that thread nice and taut as that needle sweeps down through all of this leather. But if there's just a little bit of lacking as far as that upper tension, most of the stitching will be spot on. I mean, just wow. But occasionally you'll see a little bit of a wayward stitch. That is a product of the upper tension. And that is where if we were sewing a ton of this elk hide, we would go ahead and bump that upper tension up just a little bit to make that stitch even more pizzazz. But all in all, beautiful, beautiful lock stitching. I'll go across it one more time to show you as I'm holding this huge boom camera extension thingy. Yeah. Some really, really good stitching. Again, I think it's a very, very nice looking lock stitch. But if we were going to be sewing a ton of 2 layers of genuine elk hide all day long, we would bump up this upper tension over here just slightly. We would turn it a little bit more clockwise, And I'll do that right now. A little bit more clockwise to pull up a little bit harder to define that lock stitch even more. If you've never heard the simple Scott science of managing tension, I'll give it to you right now. And that is, as we're sewing leather like this, that is crazy, insane, are you kidding me thick? As we're sewing leather like this, we have 2 different elements of the machine. I'll move this out of the way for right now. We have 2 different elements of the machine working together, hopefully. The upper tension right over here is going to be pulling up. It's going to be pulling up to define that lock stitch. Down below in the bobbin case area, in the raceway area, that bobbin case itself, something similar to this. This one is actually broken. This one is broken. But if it weren't broken, what it would do is it would be pulling down to define that top stitch. So this is pulling down to define the top stitch. This is pulling up to define the lock stitch. So they're in a tug of war like this, back and forth. They're in a tug of war. If anyone's getting seasick, they say ginger helps. If you're getting seasick right now, taking ginger helps with seasickness. But okay, I'll stop. But again, this is pulling down. This is pulling up. And eventually they become friends and they generate stitching like this. They generate stitching like this with absolutely wild and crazy lock stitching and top stitching. Right there is our top stitch. Yeah, there it is. Right here's our top stitch. And right over here, I'm almost at it. Almost did it. Right here is our lock stitch. So when they're getting along, when they're friends and they're buddies and they're going, I love you, upper tension. No, I love you, bobbin case. I love you, upper tension. No, I love you, bobbin case. When they're friends and they're getting along, they produce stitching like this through this crazy thickness of leather that you just saw this machine do with absolute ease. When they're not friends and they're being adversarial towards each other, then this one is either pulling too hard or this one is pulling too hard. So we have to find that sweet balance, and it's not a constant thing. So as you change material types, like we'll be doing on this live stream today, where when you go through different materials like this, we might have to make subtle adjustments to accommodate that stitch balance as far as tension. We might have to make a little bit of an adjustment, and that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. So, but again, it makes it a lot easier when you get the machine fine-tuned like this. So it's got a really nice stitch balance at this level. And then we just do a little bit of tweaking to get and to maintain a beautiful top stitch, a beautiful lock stitch as well. Yeah, there it is. Somewhere. There it is. All right. So I'm going to throw this to the back. This is the sewing I've already done off camera over here. I did some protected full grain leather. I did some saddle grade leather. I did some Naugahyde. Naugahyde is that fake leather again. And then we just did these 2 layers of genuine elk hide. Already, we have a sew-off sandwich starting with leather and also fake leather. Fake leather stays over there. Fake leather does not get to go in the pile with the real leather. You sit over there by yourself. Stay over there. Stay over there. Yeah. Okay. So let me get the camera attached to the table again, and we will do some more sewing with this 1591. Again, born in 1934. Born in 1934. There we go. Got it. Just do a quick little wipe off again. A lot of the leathers will leave kind of a little bit of a residue behind. So I like to keep the bed nice and tidy, keep the bed nice and clean. Okay. And I'll leave the light off. I don't think we need it. So next, let's see the next kind of leather we're going to try. Why don't we do some saddle grade leather? I've got this saddle grade leather right here. This is also saddle grade leather. And you see, as you look at it, it kind of looks a little bit different, doesn't it? But that's just because it comes from different parts of the hide of the animal. And so as you're looking at these, even though they look a little bit different, they're exactly the same type of leather. And this type of leather, again, is used for making all kinds of, isn't the word equestrian? We talked about this in the last live stream, dealing with horses. Equestrian, isn't that it? I think it is. But they make stuff for horses like harnesses and reins, and they make gun holsters sometime on this type of leather. So it's a real durable, it's a very, very strong leather. It's not easy to get through. You're going to see how this 1591 does on this saddle grade leather. We'll start with a single thickness, and then I'll add this other piece to it to give it a little bit more of a challenge. So we'll get this into place first, and I'll get a quick drink of water as well. Get that down, drop that presser foot. We'll just kind of leave this because we're going to be adding this shortly anyway. Get a quick drink of water. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Can't we just be friends? Can't we just be friends? Come on, let's be friends. No, I'm the upper tension. I'm in control here. I'm the upper tension. I'm in control. I'm not going to be your friend. Oh, come on. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. I know I'm down here and no one can see me unless they open the little plate. I don't know where this voice came from, but it's really annoying. But yeah, they have to be friends. They have to be friends in order to get stitch balance and tension balance. They've got to be friends. You got to be friends, guys. Be friends, for goodness sakes. Goody gumdrops. All right. Oh, and welcome to LJ as well. Welcome to LJ. Great to have you here. I don't think I've ever seen, I usually will remember if I've seen a screen name before in a live chat, a live stream. I've never seen LJ before, so I think LJ is brand new. So welcome to everybody, but it's always great to have brand new people, isn't it? Kind of fun. Yeah. All right. And I just popped, oh, welcome to Susan as well. Welcome to Susan Campbell. Welcome to Susan. I had not said hello to Susan yet. So, all right. So a single layer of saddle grade leather. Let's give that a go first. Just going to make sure I tighten these all the way. Yes, good. Excellent. All right, let's see if we can buzz through this. And I'll be a good boy and hold on to my thread this time a little bit at the initial launch. And then we'll add this second layer of saddle grade leather to it. I'm just going to move this over a little bit because I'm like almost in the middle of the road there. All right, there we go. That's better. Of course, if I move it all the way to the left side, then I'll probably sew off the leather. Not sew off like sew off, but I'll, of course. All right, let's give this a go. Here we go. Almost went off. Almost. All right. Beautiful stitching. Wow. Wow. Already I'm getting excited. I don't know if you can catch a glimpse of that or not, but that is some gorgeous, gorgeous stitching. Saddle grade leather. Saddle grade leather. I love sewing leather, not only for the sake of sewing leather, but it just makes the whole workshop smell yummy. It's almost like grandma making cookies, or mom making cookies. Mom, are you making cookies? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I can smell them. Dad, are you working with leather? Mom, are you working with leather? Nope, no leather. Yes, you are. I can smell it. So yeah, there's no denying it. When you're sewing with leather, it just has an aroma, doesn't it? It's like cutting wood in a wood shop almost. Almost like cutting wood in a wood shop. Okay, so we will get our little stitch off holder real quick. You might be able to see this without me moving the camera around a lot. That would be awesome. Makes it easier for me. Let me look at the screen. Now you really can't see it very well. I'll take the camera off again. So this is our top stitch, which is absolutely, are you kidding me, fabulous, gorgeous. Oh, rocking, sorry. There we go. Folks, that is beautiful, beautiful stitching. That is some gorgeous off the charts type stitching. That's a page 34 plus for sure. Beautiful, beautiful top stitch. So at least at this point at least, the upper tension and the bobbin case are friends. They're friends. Yeah. Absolutely spectacular. How do we do on the lock stitch? Let's turn it over and look at that lock stitch. Single layer, saddle grade leather, single layer. How does it look? Oops, there we go. That is a beautiful, beautiful lock stitch as well. Very, very nice. Very, very nice lock stitch. And at certain parts, it's going to be obscured because of the nap of that leather, but very, very nice balance right now between that top stitch. Oops, there we go. Between that top stitch and lock stitch, I've got to keep looking over my shoulder to make sure I didn't move the camera too much. So contrary to what some people post on Facebook and on Etsy and Instagram and other places like that, this by definition is a 1934 Singer 15-91, a household sewing machine. Even the manual says that, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can move and get the manual. No, it doesn't specifically say it. It just says instructions for using Singer electric sewing machine, blah, 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 reversible feed, blah, 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 lock stitch for, oh yeah, there it is, finally. For family use. For family or household use. So Singer would sometimes put family, they sometimes put household, but for family use. So we are using a machine that was designed not to do what we're doing, but it is engineered to be able to handle this type of sewing very easily. It's all forged steel. It's built like a tank, and it's got that really, really strong 0.6 amp potted motor on the back. Some of the later 1591s, they went to a 0.5 amp potted motor. And the same thing is true of the 201-2s. The real early 201-2s that came out right in 1935, like this one, are going to have that 0.6 amp. The later 201-2s, you'll find a variation back and forth where some of them will have a 0.5 amp, some of them will have a 0.6 amp. But the earliest versions, they generally went with that bigger motor just to give that machine a little bit more edge. But does a tenth of an amp really make that big of a difference? Probably not, especially after I've gone through my process with the motor. But it gives them a little bit better marketing. It gives them better marketing. So, but just a slam dunk on this single layer of saddle grade leather. Let's go ahead and set the camera up to do the next sew off, which is going to be adding the second layer of saddle grade leather to this sew off. See how the machine does. Yeah. All right. I think I got it. I'm starting to get the hang of this thing. So we've got now 2 layers of saddle grade leather. This one we already stitched off. I'll go ahead and put these back to back, kind of like this. I hate the waist set leather, though. I might cut that off, and we'll just go with, of course, what would I use this little piece for? Probably wouldn't use this little piece for much of anything, but it just seems wasteful, doesn't it? It's wasteful. Wasteful. All right, so let's go ahead and slide this underneath, and now we will stitch through 2 layers of saddle grade leather. 2 layers. And again, I'm going to try to go without a hand start. We'll just jump into this and try to get her done. Just looking at my shot real quick. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. So I'll be a good boy and hold on to my threads. Should I clip it or not? I wonder if I should clip it. Let's just clip it real quick. Give us a little bit of an edge of trying to sew semi-straight anyway. Okay, 2 layers of saddle grade leather. Here we go. Oh, I almost made a mistake. Look it. I almost made a mistake. Look at where my take-up arm is. I've got to bring it all the way to the top so it's on the downstroke, so the machine doesn't have any mechanical binding. Up, go higher, higher, a little bit higher, go a little bit higher, higher, go a little bit, keep going. Don't slow down, keep going. All right, you're almost there. Almost there, downstroke. Oh, not yet, a little bit more. There it is. Yes. Ha-ha! Yes. All right. Change that camera angle back now. Now that I have a setup for success. All right. 2 layers of saddle grade leather. Let's try to get this done. Here we go. Take these off. I think we're good now. I gave it a little bit more gas. I gave it a little bit more gas, a little bit more gumption. So this is the one that we just sewed right here on this side over here. This is one that we sewed before through a single layer. Kind of get an impression of, those are absolutely crazy, beautiful stitches. They're beautiful stitches. They are. They're absolutely crazy beautiful. Yeah, they are. We'll take a closer look at them. Let's take a closer. Oh, wow, static. That thread just kind of sprung back like a slinky dink or something. Or a slinky, or one of the two. All right. Give that a clip there. Give that a clip there. Okay, get our little stitch off holder. So what is it now? Let me do it like this. Do it like this because then our second row stitching will be on the bottom. There we go. So our top row is the first row we did through a single layer of saddle grade leather. Our bottom row is our second stitch line. And they're both just equally, are you kidding me, gorgeous. Oh, there we go. They're both equally, absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Let me just pivot that a little bit. There we go. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's 2 layers of saddle grade leather. 2 layers of saddle grade leather. I don't know what to say. How would we make it better? I'm stuck. I don't know how we would make it better. Probably with a roller foot, we might even get a little bit even more even stitching, but it's gorgeous stitching. Totality of the stitching. Yeah, it doesn't like that light for some reason. Let me go over here. Totality of the stitching is just wow. Wow. Are you kidding me? This is a family use sewing machine from 1934, and it just laid down stitching that is absolutely off the charts. It's off the charts. Gorgeous stitching. Absolutely gorgeous. What about the lock stitch? We're only going to see 1 row. How do we do on the lock stitching? Here's our lock stitching on the back now. Equally gorgeous lock stitching too. Equally gorgeous lock stitching. Absolutely beautiful stitching. I shouldn't be impressed because I know how much time I put into, I'm just trying to adjust the angle of the camera a little bit. I know how much time I put into this machine, probably about 18 hours. 18 hours, add another 2 hours to the motor work. 18 hours. Where if you took this machine to a sew and vac, they would spend about 45 minutes. 18 hours versus 45 minutes. Kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? Yeah, kind of a no-brainer. Wow. There's our leather from the side. I see it right there. Okay. I think that was successful. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that was successful. I'm inspired to ring the bell. Let's add it to the pile of the leather over here first. Put that on the bottom. No, you can't join the pile. You're fake. You're fake. You're fake. You're fake. You're Naugahyde. You stay over there. This is the real leather over here. Real leather, fake leather. Okay? Let's ring the bell. Ooh, it's a silent bell. That was cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. And again, this particular 1591 was one of the earliest 1591s. From 1934, they started making the Class 15-91 in 1932. So it was only 2 years after they started production on this particular series of the Class 15 that this machine that I prepared for John from Connecticut rolled onto the scene. And I don't know, maybe that tenth of an amp with this having a 0.6 amp instead of a 0.5 amp motor, maybe it makes that big of a difference. I don't think so. I think it's all the work. If you look at the Facebook shots, when I went through and I did the service on this motor, the motor was just ridiculously dirty. And this is an original owner machine. It's an original owner machine, but the average owner of a vintage sewing machine is not going to do deep cleaning on their motor like I do. They're not going to go to that depth of service on the whole machine. So this machine, to get back to greatness, like you're saying right now, it needed quite a bit of attention. 16 to 18 hours compared to, again, a sew and vac would drop oil, drop oil, drop oil, drop oil, check the hook timing real quick, maybe, and then that's it. They're out the door and you get your bill. John, his machine got about 18 hours of workshop magic, and it makes all the difference in the world. That's how we're able to go through leather like this, like it's cotton, like it's cotton. Yeah, it's cotton. No, it's not. It's leather. All right. So what do we do next? I guess we'll just keep on the leather mode. We'll do some protected full grain leather, maybe. Yeah, I'll save that for last. I'll save that for last. I've got some of this Italian leather. We can do Italian leather. I don't think I sold Italian leather very often. It's real slippery stuff. Super duper slippery. Real slippery stuff. Got a nice flat nap. Italian leather has a real nice flat nap, so it'll be a little bit easier for us to see the stitches, I think. Yeah, why don't we do this next? Do some Italian leather. Get that into place. Press your foot down. Let me get another quick little drink of water. All right. Oh, I just glanced at the excuse me. I just glanced at the chat real quick, and Susie just asked a question because I didn't mention it. I told you that the flat side of the needle on the setup goes to the left, and that we thread the 1591 from right to left, but it didn't tell you what kind of needle is in the machine. I didn't tell you what kind of needle is in John's machine. What is going on? I'm going totally rogue. I'm going rogue. Okay, I'm almost found it. So inside of John's machine is, drum roll, this is what we're sewing with. Almost got it. Did I? It won't focus on it. It won't focus. It's like, I don't want to focus on that. Let me do this. Let me try that. See if that helps. There we go. Almost got it. I'm so close. Okay, so hopefully you could see that. We're sewing with a Schmetz 9014 leather needle. So we got a little bit of an advantage sewing the leather with a leather needle. Leather needle does have a different cutting edge down near just above the point. It's got more of a serrated edge to go through the leather. So it gives us a little bit more advantage in cutting through leather like this than a standard, a standard needle that would have a more of a flat or rounded point, depending on the type of needle. So, all right, let's see if we can get through this now. We're going to go through this Italian leather. So, Susie, thank you for asking that question, because I realize now that I didn't tell you. See that? That's why it's so great to have my leaders in the live streams, because they'll catch things that I miss. Yes, they will. All right, let's give this a go. And again, I'll do this without a hand start. All right, and I'll hold my thread. I'll be a good boy and hold my thread. All right, here we go. Oh, wow. Hello, you. Hello, you. Beautiful stitching. Holy mackerel. Top stitching looks really good. Hopefully the lock stitching is equally balanced, and it is. It's very, very pretty. All right, let's take a look at this. I'll pull this out, and then we'll add a second layer to it. We'll be crazy rebels. Be crazy rebels. So the other thing I'll mention about, I believe it was Susie that told us that this machine has an oscillating hook system instead of a full rotary hook system. The other advantage to the 1591 over the 201-2, I'll say that again. I actually said that. You can quote me. The other advantage to the 1591 over the 201-2, the big brother to the 1591 is with the oscillating hook system like this machine has, because that hook is not going full circle, it's only oscillating like a pendulum, you're able to use a heavier thread. You're able to use a heavier thread on this machine as well without having issues, whereas a rotary hook system will run into some issues sometimes as you increase the weight of that thread, because it's having to pull that thread full circle instead of rocking it from side to side. Okay? So if you want a machine that can handle a little bit heavier thread with less problems, most often, if the machine is serviced properly and running well, that oscillating hook will be able to manage that heavier thread much easier than a full rotary hook can. Okay, let me get this set up and we'll take a look at this a little bit closer. Okay, so this is our top stitch. Again, through Italian leather, not a light sew off. We're probably looking at about 3 or 4 ounces of leather. You look at it from the side. Get a little bit closer to that and see what we think of these stitches. Off the charts. Page 34 plus, without a doubt. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. Gorgeous stitching. I don't even need to show that to you anymore. This stitching is just absolutely top shelf. This is absolutely gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous stitching. Now, if we turn it over, let's look at that lock stitch. See how we think of that. See what we think of that. If I can say it in English or something close to English. What I'm seeing, and we'll get closer to it, is an absolutely gorgeous lock stitch as well. We'll start on this end and kind of go across. Gorgeous, gorgeous lock stitch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But believable because you just saw it. Absolutely gorgeous stitching, top and bottom. Now let's combine this with this other layer of Italian leather and see how this machine does. There we go. Okay, so we got our original layer. We're going to put another layer to the back of it. So this is what we're going to be trying to sew through right here. That is crazy, crazy thick. Crazy thick. All right, so we're going to have one stitch line on the back side of here. Let's get this into position, and we'll see how this 1591 handles this much leather. The way this Italian leather is, it's actually even a little bit thicker than some of the previous sew-offs we did. It's even a little bit thicker. So I'm going to keep my fingers and toes crossed. No, I'm not too concerned about it. I think the machine will do very, very well. Go ahead and hold that together there. Hold this together here. There we go. Probably should put this down a little bit further. Let's do that right there. There we go. Okay, let me get my take-up arm in the correct position. She's good to go. All right, two layers of Italian leather. Probably the thickest sew-off we've done so far, other than, well, The elk hide probably has it by a little bit. That's our elk hide that we already did. Probably has it by a little bit, but it is crazy, crazy thick. Crazy thick. All right, let's give this a go. And again, no hand start. We're just going to go with the grit and the raw power of this 1934 Class 15-91. All right, here we go. That there. I'll kind of hold on to this and keep it relatively straight. I had to give it a little bit more power. I gave it a little bit more power that time, but still not even close. Not even close to peak power for this machine. Not even close. Holy mackerel. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I'm already seeing the stitching. I'm already seeing the stitching, and it's like, are you kidding me? What? Absolutely amazing. I'll leave a little bit of tail on there so we can more easily tell the one that we just sewed. Absolutely off the charts. Off the charts. Unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Let me get the stitch off holder. This is so fun. It's so fun to have a machine at the top of its game that's been through the workshop magic. So that's the bottom row. Yeah, top row. So I have this orientated correctly. The top row is the first one we did. The second one is through the two thicknesses. All right, let me get the camera balanced, sort of, kind of, and we'll go across and look at these. Change that a little bit. There we go. That light is kind of catching the edge of it. Hold on just a second. There we go. Let me change the angle of the camera. Okay, change the angle a little bit more. There we go. Otherwise, that light kind of messes with it from up top, those LED lights. I think I have it now, sort of. We'll go across and see. I've got that angle. Let me angle that back a little bit. There we go. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. Let me on this, for some reason it's catching that light. Let me lower it down even a little bit further. We'll lower it down all the way to here. See if that does better as far as the light. Because that LED light on top right now is kind of messing around with it. There we go. Finally. Amazing stitching. And that's 2 layers of Italian leather. 2 layers of Italian leather. All right, let me turn it over and look at that lock stitch because I'm getting exhausted trying to keep that camera straight. And still, let me flip it over so it's like this. And I'm seeing a gorgeous lock stitch as well. I'm going to try to move this up again because then I can balance the camera against the edge. I can balance the camera against the edge of the table. It's a little bit easier for me, but we'll see if the lighting agrees with me. I'll just show you from the edge again and what we just went through. Folks, that is the thick of thick. That is some super crazy thick leather. Like I said, this Italian leather, the way it's cut from the hide is a little bit thicker than some of the other leather we've had. Probably a little bit thicker. All right, let me get the camera balanced against there, see if we can get a good shot. That almost looks like animals or elephant skin, doesn't it? Italian leather has the texture of almost an elephant type skin. If you look at it from the side again, the thickness of what we just went through, absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's our stitching that we did, their top stitching. Lock stitching on the back. I should have paused there. See the thickness again? Lock stitching. Okay, I'm going to stop there. It's beautiful, beautiful stitching. So I'm going to add that to our pile of real leather over here. 2 layers of Italian leather. This is the leather that we've already done. That's the leather that we've already done during this live stream. That would be enough, since I titled this a leather fest, I think, or something along that line. This would be enough to say that the job is done, but we're going to do some more sewing nonetheless, a little bit more sewing before we consider the deal done. But all of that leather on this live stream so far, just crazy, 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 crazy. Okay. I'm going to move away from leather for a little bit. We've done a lot of leather. We've done a lot of leather. Why don't we do cotton now? We'll go from leather to cotton, if that makes any sense at all. And we're going to be sewing this 100% cotton with a leather sewing needle, a 9014 Schmetz leather needle. And leather needles are great for leather, but they're not quite as great for cotton. But I think that our 1591 will still be able to get the job done. And I'm not going to change the presser foot pressure. Normally, if we're going from leather to cotton, we would go ahead and we would reduce this presser foot pressure right here by turning this counterclockwise. but I'm going to leave it just like it is. I'm going to leave it just like it is. So hopefully we don't get any puckering. We don't get any puckering as we're going through this. Oh, welcome to Antonio. Antonio, I didn't say welcome to Antonio yet. Great to have you here as well. Oh, and you're Antonio is from Brazil, just like Christina. Just like Christina is from Brazil as well. So great to have our friends from Brazil join us. And it looks like Antonio typed something that was flagged by YouTube. So I'll leave it in Susie's hands. I don't know if we have another moderator present or not, but if you want to review what Antonio typed, if you think it's acceptable, go ahead and approve it. Otherwise, delete it. So let's actually show or hide. So Susie, when you get a chance, go ahead and look at Antonio's comment that was flagged. Oh, you got it. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's try this 100% cotton now. We've gone from a leather fest to cotton fest now. Now we're at cotton fest. So let's see how this 1591 handles this 100% cotton. And again, we're using a leather needle to sew this with. So it should be interesting. All right, here we go. And I'm intentionally taking it really slow. I'm taking it really slow to show you that you don't have to race. You can take it real slow as well. Beautiful stitching. Wow. A little bit light on the lock stitch. We might make a little bit of an adjustment on the lock stitch. It's interesting. We were able to define a beautiful lock stitch going through all of that leather, but as you change between a field of materials, right now we're looking at the top stitch side, nice top stitch, but right now that bobbin case is being a little bit of a bully. That bobbin case is pulling down hard enough to give us a real sharp looking top stitch, but that lock stitch is okay, but it could be better. It could be better. Take our clips off and we'll clip our thread here and take a look at these stitches. I'm actually going to shut our LED light off right above to see if that helps as far as that glare factor we've been getting. I just shut our LED light off above because it was creating a little bit of a glare. So hopefully that helps. We'll flip this around. That's our top stitch. And again, this is 100% cotton with a stiffener. 100% cotton with a stiffener. We'll see if shutting off that light made it better or worse. Yeah, that seems to have helped a little bit. We're getting a little bit of a glare with that LED light above. I'll just kind of aim the camera up there real quick. You see my LED light up there. And it was creating a little bit of a glare. So hopefully we've eliminated that glare to make it a little bit easier for us to zoom in on these and see them. So 100% cotton. I'll go across and let you, the stitching is gorgeous. The stitching is gorgeous. And we just stitched cotton using a leather needle. It's kind of hilarious. You know, it really is kind of hilarious. I didn't know what you're able to see. I'm looking at the laptop, and it looks like you're able to see as much as I can see. This is absolutely a page 34 plus stitch. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch is just absolutely as it should be. Now, when we flip it over, you might notice what I notice, and that is the lock stitch is okay, but it could be better because we got a little bit too much poppiness on the top stitch side, which took a little bit away from our lock stitch. So I'm going to turn it around, and we'll look at that lock stitch now. It's still a very good looking lock stitch, but it could be even better. Bring that forward a little bit. There we go. So a very good lock stitch. I might make a little bit of a tension adjustment, but all in all, I'm pleased with that as well. So now we've gone from leather to cotton, and this 1591 just continues to dazzle us with absolutely drop dead gorgeous stitching. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous stitching. You see that right there in the shot as well. All right, so now we're going to throw this into a separate pile. We've got our cotton pile, we've got our Naugahyde, and we've got our leather fest right over here. And we'll attach the camera and move on to the next one now. Okay. What should we try next? What should we try next? Kind of debating. Let's see. I'll tell you what, let me get your input. We've got some denim we could sew. We've got some compressed felt. We've got some bubblegum material. And we've got this nasty, awful wannabe leather, this Naugahyde stuff. We've got this Naugahyde stuff. So out of these choices, go ahead and type in the live chat what you'd like to see. Denim, Naugahyde, compressed felt, or bubblegum material. One of those materials we'll do next. Yeah, we'll do one of those materials next. The camera is, good observation. The camera is sideways right now because I've got it attached to the side of the table. That is a correct observation. We are sideways. Yes, we are. I can try adjusting it a little bit. Let me see if I can bend it. It's on like a bendy cord type thing. There, I bent it back a little bit. Trying to bend it. No, I bent it too far. Oh my gosh. There we go. Yes, I had it sideways. That was absolutely correct. Oh, what a hoot. What a hoot. All right, so it looks like Susie typed denim, so I think we'll try denim. Oh, weight and type of thread. I'm using a dual duty XP thread from Joann Fabrics. A dual duty XP thread from Joann Fabrics, which is going to be right around between 30 to 40 weight thread. 30 to 40 weight thread is what we're sewing with. And it's pretty amazing we're able to go through all the leather we did and everything else using what would not be a traditional type thread to use for that heavy duty sewing. But we're doing it very successfully. Yeah, so the outboard tinker is spot on. The outboard tinker is spot on. I did have the camera sideways. I didn't even think about that. Oh my gosh, so much fun. We have too much fun. Too much fun. Oh my gosh. All right, let me get another quick drink of water and then we'll jump into the rest of this. I've also been battling a little bit of a headache today. Has anyone else been getting headaches with the weather changes and everything? Maybe I'm alone in that, but it seems like when the weather changes, it gets hot, it gets cold, it gets temperature goes up and down real rapidly. I sometimes will get a little bit of a headache. There we go. I just finished my whole bottle of water. I'm going to get another one now. Yeah, if you've never done public speaking or anything like that before, it's amazing when you're talking a lot, how much your mouth kind of dries out a little bit, doesn't it? Kind of dries out. Yeah, Susie gets it too. Susie over in Minnesota gets that too. When the temperatures are fluctuating, it's real dry, like it gets down in the workshop, a lot of static down here, and then it goes from real dry to all of a sudden the humidity goes up outside. It just messes around. It messes around with your throat and your voice and your vocal cords and everything, doesn't it? Yeah. So sorry about that for having the camera sideways. I didn't even think about that. Although that was kind of fun. I promise you, I will not put the camera upside down. I will not put the camera upside down. Sideways occasionally, but we won't go upside down, at least not today. All right, so we're going to do denim next. By popular demand, we'll do denim next. Move these others to the side. Now let's get a vote. Let's get a vote in the live chat if you don't mind. We've got 2 layers right now. Should we go to just 4 layers? Or should we fold it here and here to take us up to 6 layers of denim? Should we do 4 or 6 layers of denim? What do y'all think? 4 or 6 layers of denim? I'll just look at the live chat real quick and see what the vote consensus is. 4 or 6 layers. I didn't even offer you 8 layers. That would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it? If we fold it in half, that'll take us up to 4. Then if we fold it, what is that? 4. Yeah, and then if we folded it again, that would take us up to 8 layers of denim. That would be totally insane. And that would definitely give us a shorter, stubbier stitch. No matter how much I crank up the presser foot pressure, our stitch would be much smaller, noticeably smaller. So what do you guys think? That would be 8 layers. That would be 4 layers. I think that's 4 layers. And that would be 2 layers. 2, 4. No, what did I say? So 2 layers. I'll get it right. 6 layers. It's like origami. I'm doing an origami class, or 8 layers. 2, 6, or 8. 2, 6, or 8. I'll look at the live chat, see what you guys are saying. Favored one is saying 6. Susie is saying 6. God bless you guys. God bless you, ladies, because I really, God bless favored one, and God bless Susie, because I really didn't want to try to do 8. That would be kind of crazy insane. But we'll do 6. 6 is better. I think we'll get better stitch too. So let's do this. Fold it here, fold it there, fold it there. Now we're up to 6 layers. Okay, so let me get underneath the presser foot, and we'll try to do 6 layers of this heavy grade denim. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. And again, we're sewing this not with a denim needle. We're sewing this with a leather needle. Kind of crazy. Little crazy. Other light off as well. Oh yeah, from this distance right now, it's kind of pixelating. It's pixelating this, so we really can't see it very clearly, which is kind of a bummer. That's a product of my lighting. Get a little bit closer, see if that helps. Yeah, that helped a little bit. It helped a little bit. Okay, so let's try this. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. We'll see how the machine does. The first thing I have to do is bring our take-up arm all the way up. Take-up arm all the way up. There we go. Okay, 6 layers of heavy grade denim. This should be interesting. All right, here we go. Oh, you know what else I should do real quick? I should get a clip on there just to try to hold this a little bit more straight. Okay, here we go. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Keep your fingers and toes crossed, and keep your toes in the ride until we come to a complete stop, or something like that. You know what I mean. Take that off. Oh, wow. Nice. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. I'll block that light up above a little bit. Yeah, lovely stitching. Lovely stitching. Lovely, 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 lovely stitching. 6 layers of denim. Heavy grade denim, 6 layers. No need for a hand start, obviously. It just buzzed through it like a hiccup. Okay. This is our, got to get myself orientated here. That is our top stitch. That is our lock stitch, I believe. Yep. Okay, top stitch, lock stitch. And I promise I won't go sideways on you. I promise I won't go sideways. So a very, very nice looking top stitch. It is a little bit stubbier, and that's a product, again, of feed. Is dealing with this many layers, 6 layers of denim. A roller foot or a walking foot would give us a little bit better even feed. But all in all, the machine managed this beautifully. Absolutely gorgeous job of going through these 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Really quite a lovely job. So let's turn it over, and I'll show you the thickness as I turn it over. That's our 6 layers right there. Kind of crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. And laying down just gorgeous stitching nonetheless. So I'll turn it around. We'll look at that lock stitch. There's our lock stitch. I'll flip it around so we can look at it on the top edge. There we go. I think I got it fairly even now, fairly even. All right, let's take a look at this lock stitch. A lock stitch, again, we went through 6 layers of denim using a leather needle. And again, the thread we're using is Dual Duty XP all-purpose thread from Joann Fabrics. Just seeing how close I can get. Some really good looking stitching. Again, how could we make this better? We could make it better by using a denim needle. If we're using a denim needle, the design of that needle is going to be a little bit more accommodating to this this denim, especially if we're going through 6 layers of it, than a leather needle. But all in all, we've got a really, really good looking stitch. Definitely page 34, and we could make it better by using probably a walking foot or a roller foot, and then also changing our needle type. But all in all, it did a beautiful, beautiful job going through this much denim. It's a lot of denim to go through. There we go. Now I got a better angle on the camera. I might have to look at the settings on the camera again. I have a new program from Razer where I can adjust the settings, and I set it as a bright room, but I think I might have to adjust it back a little bit now. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful stitching. So I'm going to move our denim over into our pile with our cotton over there and our Naugahyde standalone, and then all of our leather that we've done so far. Again, if you joined us a little bit late, this is our 1934. Oh, my thread actually slipped off of there. Yikos. And that happens occasionally. On these 1591s, you get this little notch right here where the thread rides in there. And once in a while, it will decide to be naughty, like it just was, and slide out of there. See how it slid out of that groove? So now I need to tighten this up again. There we go. And that happens sometimes. So just keep an eye on that. Occasionally this will, because you're kind of going on an angle here with the thread across the top. And then it goes here and it makes that big swing underneath the upper tension through that check spring and the take-up arm and everything. So yeah, that had dropped down. I didn't even notice it. So okay, let me adjust the camera back again. And we'll try not to go sideways. Try not to go sideways. There we go. I think that's pretty good. There we go. That's even better. Okay, so we did our denim. I mean, let me give you a quick snapshot of what we've done so far on this live stream. Kind of hold it over here. So on this live stream, there, I think I almost got it. We've done the cotton, we've done the denim, we've done the Italian leather, saddle grade leather, protected full grain leather, elk hide, and then we also did some other saddle grade leather over here off camera. But so far, just on this live stream, this is what we've done so far. Most people would consider that to be enough, but we're going to go just a little bit further. We've got a couple more sew-offs that we can try to do, and then I'll wrap this live stream up, okay? Going to go over the surface of our bed again because it's gotten a little bit chalky looking. When you're sewing different materials, and even with the thread, you'll leave a lot of deposits behind. A lot of deposits go onto the machine surface. So I just like to wipe it up and kind of keep it tidy as we're going through the live stream. Especially for the owner's sake, they can see that their machine is still spiffy from beginning to end. It's kind of like running a marathon and not sweating. It's kind of what these machines do. They don't sweat. I don't think they sweat. They might. Okay. So choice at this point is we've got Naugahyde. It's our Naugahyde right there. We've got our bubblegum material. And we've got our compressed felt. So what do you guys think? Compressed felt, bubblegum material, and Naugahyde, the fake leather stuff. So I'll look at the chat, see what you're saying, and then we'll kind of go from there. And I'll clean my glasses a little bit. They're filthy. Oh, that's better. I can actually see now on my glasses. Yay. Susie is saying compressed felt. Oh, hey, Antonio just typed something. Antonio in the live chat said it's strong but not fast. Strong but not fast. So you know what I need to do is I need to show him a little bit more speed, don't I? Because when I get done with a machine in the workshop, it's not only strong, but it's also fast. But here's the thing. Speed is not always the answer when you're sewing, is it? Speed is not always the answer. It's accuracy and it's quality of stitch as well. So you got to balance all of those, don't you? But I'll give you a little bit of speed, Antonio. I'll give you a little bit more speed on a sew off. Matter of fact, I'll get something to stitch off for fun to show you a little bit more speed. And Robin is saying 3 or 4 layers. I'm not going to do 3 or 4 layers of compressed felt, but I will do 2 layers of it is typically what I do because I only have 2 cut right now. And we'll go with 2 layers of this. But certainly in the future, remind me, in the future, I can certainly bump this up to 3 or 4 layers of compressed felt. But right now, I want to show Antonio a little bit more speed for the machine for fun. Okay? Something a little bit longer. Something a little bit longer. Give me just a moment here. I want to get something a little bit longer to show Antonio some speed. So what I'm gonna stitch off real quick, and this is kind of, then I'll do the compressed felt, is I'm gonna sew some of this paper vinyl stuff. I've shown this to you before, this paper vinyl stuff. And I'm gonna cut a strip so it's a little bit longer. A little bit longer. This stuff again is available at the Dollar Tree. Kind of comes in a tube like this. You pull it out. And I'm going to cut down this. This can be used for a variety of different craft projects. So we got a fairly decent long piece there, probably about 12 inches long or so. And we've been focusing mainly on power and quality of stitch. Now we'll do a little bit of speed. Do a little bit of speed just for fun. Try to get the right camera angle. Yeah, that's a pretty good camera angle. So I'm going to move these to the side for just a moment. We'll slide this vinyl paper stuff into place here. There we go. Get my take-up arm in the right spot. And just for fun is kind of a little deviation before we do our compressed felt. I'll give this a little bit more gas than I've been giving the machine, and we'll buzz down this. We're probably not going to hit 1,000 stitches per minute, but we'll be going at a pretty good clip, hopefully, if I can get my foot on the foot controller. All right, let's give this a try, and to give our friend Antonio a little bit more of a taste of the speed of the household machine. All right, you ready? Okay, here we go. I'm going to try to keep it straight. I hope I don't sew off course. We'll see. Now, granted, that's not going to be quite commercial speed, but that's probably about halfway down, 3/4 of the way down the foot controller. And it gives you a little idea of the burst capabilities of what is considered a family sewing machine, not a commercial machine, not a light industrial machine. But at peak, this machine will probably hit between 1,000 to almost 1,200 stitches per minute, which is pretty doggone fast for a household sewing machine. So, and I won't get these stitches so you can examine them closely. I'll get it up to the camera a little ways. Yeah, it's hard to see them. It's hard to see them, this white on white and all that. But the machine not only sewed much faster than I've done on the previous sew-offs, but it also maintained beautiful stitch quality as well. Beautiful stitch quality on this vinyl paper. Vinyl is inherently a material that can cause skip stitches. It can cause skip stitches, and not a single skip stitch on the sew-off we just did. Beautiful job. But I wanted to answer that for Antonio just to show him that my purpose during this live stream is not to show the speed of the machine. It's to demonstrate stitch quality, and it's to go through a wide field of materials to show the flexibility of the machine in managing that, even though we're using a leather needle. It did a brilliant job of maintaining beautiful stitch quality going through this, and a little bit faster clip as well. So that's always fun, isn't it? That's our lock stitch on the back, just to show you. It's hard to see. I know it is. Beautiful stitching, though. Beautiful stitching. I'll throw that in the back. At any rate, I had to deviate to that just to have a little bit of fun. All right, compressed felt now, finally. 2 layers of that. Certainly, if Robin wants to see 3 or 4 in the future. Matter of fact, Robin, you could send me a video clip of you sewing 3 or 4 layers of compressed felt. That would be fun. Robin is going to send me a video clip of 3 or 4 layers of compressed felt. I think we should do that. Yeah, let's do it. All right. So 2 layers of compressed felt. Let's see if we can manage that. Get that into position. Take up arm all the way up. Just put a little clip on there to give us a little bit of an advantage in trying to stay straight. There we go. All right, 2 layers of compressed felt. Really kind of easy peasy for this machine, but we'll sew this anyway because compressed felt is heat treated. And by the heat treating process, it's going to make this fiber very, very tight, almost kind of galvanize it. And it's going to make it a little bit more tough for most machines to get through. Not really this one. It's kind of an easy peasy thing for this machine, but we'll do it nonetheless. All right, here we go. And I'm going to ratchet my speed back down again. So beautiful stitching already. I can see beautiful stitching. Beautiful stitching. Yeah, I would probably bump up our upper tension just a little bit to get more definition on that lock stitch. I'm going to do that right now. We might sew it one more time. I'll show you what we have, and then what I might do is I might stitch down it one more time to try to tighten up that lock stitch a little bit more. Just a little bit more. This top stitch is just absolutely spectacular. All right. See if I can get this reasonably straight. Very, very nice looking top stitch. Very, very nice looking top stitch. Absolutely a page 34 top stitch, but the lock stitch is going to be a little bit on the weaker side. And that's where I say we would have to make a little bit of an adjustment for this compressed fiber. I'm going to spin it around and we'll look at that lock stitch. It's not a horrible lock stitch, but it could be better. It could definitely be better. Okay, there, I got the camera now, I think. Almost. All in all, it's a very good looking lock stitch, but again, there's certain spots where it could be better. And that's a product of the upper tension not being able to pull hard enough as it's sweeping down with the needle and it's pulling that thread back through. It needs just a little bit of a boost. So what I might try to do real quick is let me put the camera back on the table. I might try bumping up that upper tension a little bit, and we'll sweep down one more time to see if we can tighten up that lock stitch even a little bit more. It's really quite good, but it could be better. And that's the whole culture of the workshop, is constant and never-ending improvement. Constant and never-ending improvement. That's in every area. How I service the machines, how I restore them, how I paint them, how I repair them. Always trying to make my processes better and better and better and better. So let's see if we can improve on this stitch a little bit. And compressed felt is a tricky material to work with. I'll just tell you that up front. It's tricky. A tricky material to work with. So We'll buzz down one more time and see what impact we can do. I just bumped up the upper tension a little bit, and we'll see what impact we can bring. Here we go. And I'm still seeing a nicely defined lock stitch, or a top stitch, excuse me. The whole thing is if you bump up the upper tension, you can take away from that top stitch, but we didn't do that. We still have a nice looking top stitch. And now we're going to flip it over and see how we did on that lock stitch. Yeah, that's a definite improvement. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, I could have gone up even a little bit higher than that. Could have gone up even a little bit higher on that. Yeah, top stitch, lock stitch. So that's our, yep, okay. Got to keep them orientated right. So the top row will be our second sew off. Should probably flip that around and make that in order, shouldn't I? So in order, the top row is the first one we did, the bottom row is the second one we did. Just back that up a little bit. So again, when you're adjusting tensions, you just have to make sure you don't adjust too far because you'll improve one side and you'll hurt the other, which we did not do. I adjusted up the upper tension, but we still have a very nicely defined top stitch. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. So we turn it over. Let's see if we brought an impact or not to that lock stitch. I'm going to kind of rotate it around, turn it around. There we go. So as we're looking at this, our top row is the first one we did that was a little bit less defined. And then I bumped up that upper tension. Let's see if we brought some impact to that, that lock stitch on the bottom row. That's the one we're looking at now. I'll actually start over here. So look at that bottom row and compare it to that top row. I can see from here, we definitely made an improvement. We probably didn't go as far as we needed to, but we definitely improved the clarity and the quality of that lock stitch on the bottom row. So part of what I'm trying to show you as well is that you are able to do this on your machines as well. If you're sewing through a diverse field of materials, you can control that that tension as you're moving through them and still maintain great stitch quality. It might take a little bit of adjusting, but you're able to do it on any machine. The same principle applies regardless of the machine. It doesn't matter if it's a commercial machine and a light industrial machine or a family household machine like this 15-91, you're still able to apply those principles to keep that tension beautifully balanced top and bottom. So don't be intimidated by that, of being able to manage it on your own. You can certainly do it. I'm going to do a bubble gum material now just to be able to say that we tried it. Once I get the camera adjusted again. There we go. That's pretty good. We do this bubble gum material. which, like that Naugahyde, is going to have a lot of vinyl in it. So it's going to be a little bit trickier material to maintain stitch quality. We'll see how we do. Okay, let's try this bubblegum material. And I didn't show you why I call it bubblegum material. I probably should have done that just for fun. If you're new to the channel, you're saying, why is he calling it bubblegum material? Why? It's because look at what I can do to this stuff. And that's why I call it bubblegum material. And that vinyl content in it inherently makes it much more difficult to maintain stitch quality unless that machine is running at the top of its game, because that vinyl will distort the stitch. It'll cause skip stitching and create all kinds of other problems as you're trying to get through that material. All right, let's give this a go. Some good old-fashioned bubblegum material. Here we go. Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Amazing. Wait until you see these stitches. And we're going to wrap this up pretty quick. I'm just checking my time. 2 hours and 30. Yeah, we're going to wrap this up. I've got other sew-offs that I could do. Maybe we'll sneak in the Naugahyde real quick, just because I've been bad-mouthing the Naugahyde, putting it in a separate pile, saying that it's not real leather, which it already knows. It already knows that it's not real leather. But we just sewed this real tricky bubblegum material. Let's see how we did. Let's see how we did. Look at that top stitch first, and then we'll flip it over and look at that lock stitch. And you can see this stuff is trying to curl. See that? It's trying to curl because of that vinyl content in there. That vinyl just really, I'll do my best to show it to you. If it stops curling, all right, we'll do our best. Here goes our bubblegum material. We'll see how we can get a shot on this. Here we go. There we go. Folks, that is as good, almost as good as it can get. I almost bit my tongue there. I said it's as good as it can get. It can always be better, but that is a solid page 34 plus stitch, and on a material that notoriously causes skip stitches and distorted stitches because of all that vinyl. That's why I call it bubblegum material, right? And yet we just laid down stitching. Oops, let me change the camera angle. There we go. We just laid down stitching that is absolutely off the charts. Unbelievable. Totality of the stitching. Absolutely gorgeous. Flipping it over, let's look at that lock stitch now. How did we do with the lock stitch? It's just as fabulous once I get it to lay down. All right, you be good. You be good. Absolutely amazing lock stitching as well. Totality of the stitching. Folks, that's very, very impressive even to me, because I know how tricky this material is. And I know that we're sewing this high vinyl content material using a leather needle, which really is totally incompatible, but the machine is making up for it by delivering absolutely gorgeous stitching. Absolutely gorgeous stitching, both for the top stitch and the lock stitch. Just amazing how well this machine is performing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to add this to the pile, and we'll probably do just one more sew off, and then we're going to wrap up this live stream. First of all, I'll show you kind of what we've done already during this live stream. So during this live stream, I've been battling this camera the entire time. During this live stream, again, I don't believe in window dressing. If you're going to put a machine to the test, if you're going to dress up and put on your best clothes, like my DeWalt jacket, and you're going to run it through the paces, then do it right. And that means going through a wide field of materials, everything from us buzzing at a relatively high rate of speed with this vinyl paper to this 100% cotton, the 6 layers of denim, the Italian leather, the saddle grade leather, protected full grain leather, the genuine elk hide, saddle grade leather again, bubblegum material, and compressed felt. This is what we've done on the live stream so far. This is what we've done on the live stream. This is the real deal. This is the real deal where you're actually running a machine through the paces and you're giving it a wide field of materials to sew through, and you're maintaining page 34 plus stitching throughout. And that Schmetz needle, that 9014 leather needle we're using, continues to amaze me with maintaining incredible stitch quality after all I've run it through already. So this would be enough. This is enough. This is enough without a doubt. We're just going to do 2 more quick sew offs. We'll do Naugahyde. We'll do protected full grain leather on camera, and then we'll consider the deal done. Okay? So thank you to all of you that have persevered. It looks like our numbers have dropped quite a bit. We had like 20 some people, and now we're down to about 8 or 9 people. We actually had 22 people, at least 22 people, because of the 22 thumbs ups as far as showing this machine. So everyone loves this machine. Everyone loves my presentation of it, but folks have to step away because it's getting late. It's going on 9 o'clock Eastern time. And it's, as important as I am, and as much as you love what I do, I understand people have to step away. So, but this is what we've done so far on this live stream. I think that's impressive. I hope you do too. All right. So let's try out this Naugahyde, which is also going to have a lot of vinyl in it, a lot of vinyl. And we'll see if we can continue to maintain great stitch quality. And on Naugahyde like this, because it's real slippery like Italian leather, I usually will, instead of putting them opposite, I'll put them facing the same way, just so that it feeds a little bit more easily. And that's a super wide piece. I have no idea why I cut it that wide. Let me see if I can cut that down just a little bit so I don't waste all of that Naugahyde. I don't have a ton of it, so even when I'm cutting it with the scissors right now, that stuff is just going like, yeah. Not that I cut it real straight either, so. So there's 2 pieces. There's 2 pieces. Yeah, I could pick either one. All right, let's see how the machine does. Leather needle, Coates & Clark XP all-purpose thread, and we'll see if we can buzz down these 2 layers of Naugahyde. Naugahyde was really, really popular, especially, I want to say, in the 40s and 50s. People that could not afford or did not want to spend the money in buying a leather chair or leather whatever, they would buy this Naugahyde stuff. And to all of their neighbors and friends that came to socialize with them, they couldn't tell the difference unless they like bent down and sniffed it or something like that. But it's just a beautiful alternative to leather, unless you have to sew it. And then because of all that vinyl in there, it can just be a little bit of a nightmare to sew it. So we're going to do our best. 2 layers of Naga hide. And then we'll do a little bit of protected full grain leather, and we are done. All right, here we go. Take that off. See that? See how it's kind of puckering up a little bit? That's that vinyl content. Even though I had these clipped, it's going off course a little bit. I'm going to try to save it, but I might not be able to save it. I did my best to save it. I did my best. Look at what this stuff is doing. Can you see that in the camera? See how it's curling like that? That is a product of that vinyl in there. Look at that. It's just crazy. It's like a little snake. All right, let's take a look at our stitching, and then we'll move on to that final sew off with the protected full grain leather. I called this a leather fest. We got to end with leather. It's just the right thing to do. Okay. Oh yeah, nice stitching. Nice stitching. Okay, I'm almost there. Battling a little bit of static electricity too. Not to mention the stuff does not want us. I don't know how I'm going to show this to you. I honestly don't know how I'm going to show it to you. Look at what it's doing. Maybe I can show it to you this way. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're done almost. Oh my gosh, that stuff is it's just awful stuff to sew. It really is. So this is Naga hide. If you've never seen Naga hide before, now you have. All right, I'll try to put it on the stitch off display thing, but I don't know how I'm going to do it, to be honest with you. I don't know how we're going to do this. I'll try to clip it on there as best as I can, but it's still going to curl. It's still going to curl. Oh, what do we got here? These are huge clips. I don't even know where. I think I got these as a, what does this say? Cow Country VSMs. I got this as a gift, and I'm trying to remember who sent it to me. These monster clips. Probably hold the tarp of a car on with these. That's really awkward. I'm doing my best. Doing my best. All right, let's see if we can see this at all. Hopefully. So this is Naga hide, 2 layers of it. Kind of go across and show you the stitching as best as I'm able. Which I think is spectacular. It's quite spectacular. Oops, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Beautiful stitching. Totality of the stitching. Once the camera focuses, if the camera focuses. And by the curling, you should be able to tell how difficult this stuff is for a sewing machine to manage. I just had to hang the camera back up so I can flip this over, or try to anyway. I mean, look at that stuff. It's just curling up a storm. All right, let's see if we can clip it on one more time just to get a little glimpse of this lock stitch with these monster clips I'm using. Monster clips. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my best. Holy cow, that thing just shot off. Children, shield your eyes, shield your eyes. Try to use this other clip. Maybe it'll work a little bit better. Okay, before it decides to curl and move, I'm going to see if we can get a little glimpse of this lock stitch real quick on these 2 layers of Naugahyde. Very, very, if you've never tried sewing Naugahyde, give it a go. And then you'll really appreciate how well this 1591 just did. Amazing. There's our lock stitch. Absolutely off the charts gorgeous. Absolutely off the charts gorgeous. Amazing. Amazing. The quality of stitch for going through such a difficult material. Absolutely amazing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you totality of stitch or not. I don't know what to say other than I am totally off the charts impressed with how this machine just managed this. That's a huge clip. Oh my goodness. You could hold a cow down with this, maybe. Not that you'd want to. Cows need to be free. But you know, again, just look at this stuff. And yet John Hartzell's 1934 Singer 1591 did just a brilliant job of managing such a difficult material like this. Such a brilliant job. Yes, you can make a rocking horse out of this stuff, probably. Probably could. All right, so let me add that to the pile now that we've actually done Naugahyde. The final sew-off I'm going to do, and we're going to wrap this live stream up, is going to be this protected full grain leather. I'm just going to go through a single layer of it because I've already demonstrated the strength of the machine multiple times with double layers of everything and 6 layers of denim, and you name it. So I'm going to stitch down this side, and we're going to consider the deal done. And then I'm going to carefully pack this machine and get it heading towards John Hartzell out in Higganum, Connecticut. That is just a fun name to say. I have no idea what the origin of that name is, but if you live in Higganum, Connecticut, you've got a great city name. That is just a fun name. Yeah, it is. All right, let's do this protected full grain leather single layer, and then we're gonna hang it up. We're gonna hang it up. All right, here we go. Once I get my foot on the foot controller, almost there. So close. So close. Yeah, not even close to full speed, but a little bit more gumption. A little bit more gumption umption. A little bit more gumption umption. I can already tell you, you're going to be blown away by these stitches. I know it's a single layer of protected full grain leather, but it's protected full grain leather, for goodness sakes. And it's probably about 3 or 4 ounces of leather. And the machine just buzzed through it like cotton, like a cotton, lighter than a cotton. All right, let's check this out. Let's look at that top stitch, and then we'll look at that lock stitch. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. Folks, I'm going to say it, and don't say that I said it because I'll deny it. I'll deny it, but that's about as good as it can get. Honestly. That is the spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, the glory of the stitch is as good as I can imagine it getting. Okay, I'm sorry I said that. I know I disappointed you, but that is awesome. That is an awesome stitch. Absolutely awesome. Let's go across. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Protected full grain leather. All the sewing that this needle has already done. All the sewing this needle has already done. And it's just going, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Folks, that is page 34 plus, if I've ever seen page 34 plus, and I have. Totality of the stitch, almost. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's flip it over and look at the lock stitch. And look at the thickness again of what we sewed through. It's only a single layer. It's only a single layer, but that is a thick single layer. There it is. Once I get the camera angled right, that's a thick single layer. All right, let's take a look at that lock stitch. And this is going to have a little bit of a nap to it, so see if I can push that forward a little bit, give us a little bit better view, but it's going to be obscured a little bit. We'll get as close as we possibly can get, and hopefully you can catch a glimpse of that lock stitch once I get the camera in one place. It's the only thing about leather nap is it makes it a little bit more difficult when you're trying to show that stitch, but it's there. I could pull it back. In fact, let me try to do that real quick. Hold on a second. I just reattached the camera to the, so if I take it like this and I pull that back, you can see that stitch. There it is. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. I pulled it back as best as I could. But again, just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stitching. Gorgeous stitching throughout on this protected full grain leather. So finally I can't even talk anymore. Finally to bring this to a conclusion after our leather fest and everything else. There we go. Almost got it. Almost got it. This is what we did. There's that stuff just won't give up. It just won't give up. That Naugahyde is like, you're making fun of me because I'm not real leather. So guess what? Guess what, buddy? I'm going to curl. I'm going to curl. Yeah, I am. All right, let's look at our sew offs that we've done real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. So we just did the protected full grain leather. We just did this Naugahyde, which will not behave, so I'm going to put it by itself. Kind of like a timeout. You're timed out over there. There we go. Almost got it. Almost got it. More of this Naugahyde I did. I'll set that right over there. 100% cotton. Heavy grade denim. Italian leather. Saddle grade leather. 2 layers of that. Protected full grain leather. Genuine elk hide. Here, we'll put it like that. There we go. Saddle grade leather. Bubblegum material. Compressed felt. So we put all, oh, I missed one. The real long one that I did for my friend that wanted to see more speed. We'll add that to the mix too, just for kicks and giggles. once I can get it in place. There we go. So between the live stream, most of this was done on the live stream. This is what we just did to test this machine so that we can say you graduated from the workshop. You can now start heading towards Higganum, Connecticut to join John Hartzell out there. And John Hartzell was one of those that he was just adamant. He said, I know you're eventually going to move towards retirement. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out on getting a machine from the workshop. Actually, he said magical workshop. I don't want to miss out on getting a machine from the magical workshop. So I want you to help me pick out the right machine, which we did. And then we settled on this 1934 Singer 1591. I'm just fried. I'm fried after all that. But what a great way to demonstrate the competence and the capabilities and the possibilities of what a family household machine can do when you see it go through something like this, maintaining that level of stitching that it did. It opens up your eyes. I hope it opens up your eyes to those folks that are diehard committed to light industrial or commercial and say, a household family machine is not capable of doing this. You just saw it with your own eyes on this live stream. No editing, no window dressing. We just did it. And this 1934 has earned the right to graduate. So I'm going to throw this on the bed right there. It's not, see, that Naugahyde is just naughty. Just naughty. It won't even behave for the camera. And hope all of you have a great rest of the evening, and God bless you, okay? See if I can turn that light back on now, finally. There we go. Lift this up, turn it a little bit. There we go. Get the right camera angle to show you the machine. And it's not going to do it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, come on. There you go. There you go. All right, I'm going to leave it alone. I kind of got it, sort of. So thanks again for joining. If you've thought about a 1591 and you buy one elsewhere, if you wanted to do all of this so easily and deliver page 34 plus stitching, buy the machine, but tell the seller to send it to the workshop. A lot of folks do that, and then they get it back. There's no issues with the machine. I've gone through it from one end to the other, 134 steps approximately, and the machine's just absolutely spot on when it arrives on their doorstep. Instead of buying one on eBay or buying one somewhere else, getting it to arrive, and there's all kinds of goofy things going on with it, or the motor starts smoking, as some of my customers have experienced, send it to the workshop straight away and get a machine back that is ready to do a dance, just like John Hartzell's has, from Higganum, Connecticut. I'll never remember that name, but I said it pretty good. Higganum. All right. God bless everybody. Take care. And thank you to the moderating team. I think Susie was our only moderator on this one. So thank you to Susie for making everybody feel welcome, keeping an eye on things, and being a great resource and support to me. So I'm very grateful. And I'm grateful to all of you for taking time to join this live stream. God bless. Take care. Oh, and hello to Sheila, too. I miss Sheila. How did I do that? Take care, everybody. God bless. Oh, this camera. Oh. Uh, there it is.